I'm Conrad Fargo. This is the Fargo Five. Moving on to the Fargo Fresh. First, I got to start putting this in. Subscribe. If you're not on the YouTubes, go to the YouTubes. It's youtube.com/@ Conrad Fargo. There's a subscribe button. Hit it. Hit subscribe. I want to see those numbers go up. Please, please, please. Okay, we're moving on to the Fargo Fresh. We got a fresh update from last week's guest, Adriana Vulture. See, I'm bad at names, and she's not here to tell me how to pronounce it. Adriana Vulture from the Fargo's Market. She's in regards to her event last weekend. She says it was good. Good turnout, even with the gloomy weather. Amazing atmosphere, as always, with the music. Next month is September 17th. So put that on your schedule. We are here with Leola Dahl from the Heart and Soul Community Cafe. Do you know anything about the Makers Market? Have you heard about them or?
Makers, I feel like I've heard about it, but I don't know enough about it though, but I have heard about it.
Yeah, you know, from the name, I'll be honest, when I first heard, I thought it had something to do with like 3D printing. Oh. Which Super Juice does a lot with 3D printing. He's another radio show person here. He does the Sunday show. And I've known a lot of people in 3D printing. That's not what it is. It's actually about people who do like art with their hands. Oh. So like a lot of paintings. Elizabeth Moore, my first guest, we were talking about her on the break. She would probably be a good person for the Makers Market. So sounds like even with gloomy weather that they're going to have a good time.
Good.
Moving on. I did. Oh no. Forbes is smarter than we are. We use an ad blocker here, and I don't know how to turn it off because I can't pull it up. Oh no. We are breaking left and right on this show today. We're having a good time.
Get it all done
No,
in
I'm
one
just gonna
day.
go. I'm gonna go off the top of my head. So I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Premier Properties. This isn't a real estate show, but you know I'd like to talk about real estate. It's my life, and I think about it a lot. Update. This isn't really a Fargo update, but like a global update thing here about interest rates. So what do you know about interest rates and where they're at and where they've been, and what do you know about them?
You know, right now I'm not looking for a home or anything.
Yeah, so you're just not even aware. No,
I really don't even have it on the radar right now.
That's fine. Do you know what your interest rate, your home is at? Do you know, maybe you refinanced at a smart time or?
You know, I was very fortunate. I bought when the interest was
like
maybe 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
And then I'm very fortunate. I actually just paid my house off. So,
woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Now all you have to do is pay property taxes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, paying for something you already own.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how they work that out, but
no,
that's a pretty clever scheme.
Yeah. With the house, there's always something. So.
So interest rates have gone up. So they increased the monetary supply during COVID. We talked about COVID a lot this episode. They increased the monetary supply by like 50%. The M0, so like all the money that ever existed ever. So like from the beginning of the dollar and the Federal Reserve in 1913 to now, all the dollars ever, they just like increased the total number by 50%, which is a lot.
Wow.
Which is a lot. And so that's where all this inflation has been coming from. And I got to be careful because these are only 6-minute segments and I can talk about this all day long. And so anyway, so the only way to combat inflation is to bring the dollars back. Well, the only way to suck those dollars up is to bring interest rates up. So in the 80s to do that, so they had a similar problem in the 80s. To do that, they brought interest rates up to like 20%. Well, you can't do that now because we have such a high national debt and we pay our debt based on the interest rates. So right now, debt payments is actually the single biggest, I want to say, don't quote me. It's a really big expense. I want to say it's like the single biggest discretionary expense the U.S. government is making right now. So it's ridiculous. All of that to say, these higher interest rates, they have effects. It makes it a lot harder to buy. Right. So the same house, you know, where payments would only be $1,000 a month, it's the same house, same price. Now the payments are $1,500 or $1,600, $1,700 a month. So it's a lot harder for people to buy.
Wow.
And so volume has been down on real estate. That's no secret. However, because there's fewer buyers, the thing is that buyers are also sellers. Does that make sense? Most of the time, unless you're a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's unless you're a first-time home buyer, or you're downsizing and like not going to own ever again,
Right.
right? If you're buying, you're also selling.
Right.
So demand is down on the buy, but what else is, so it's supply demand curve, right? The demand curve is down from buyers,
Right.
but the supply curve is down because no one's listing their home to sell it
Right.
because they don't want to buy.
Right.
So if you think back to like how economics work, it's supply and demand. With the demand buy demand being down, you would imagine prices would go down, but they don't, and they haven't, and they won't.
Wow.
They're unlikely to, because as the buy demand drops, so also does the supply demand, and so prices have been stagnant, like they just won't go down.
Wow.
And everybody's been waiting, while interest rates go up. They're the highest they've been. They're approaching 8%, which is a wild number. It's pricing a lot of people out. And what this Forbes that I can't pull up because we use an ad blocker and I don't know how to turn it off. But I found it. I was like, ooh, I got to talk about this on the show, because here's my fear is what's going to happen. So I'm not predicting, I'm not promising, but this is what I'm afraid is going to happen. Is that interest rates are going to drop. They're going to turn it around. The next time the Federal Reserve meets is mid to late September. They're going to lower the interest rates, and people are going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And they're going to go out and they're going to buy because they're going to go, oh my God, they came down. Yay, 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 yay. Well, what's going to happen when that demand shoots way up? Prices, too, are also going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You can't refinance a price, but you can refinance an interest rate. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense at all? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Maybe not. Maybe it's esoteric. Maybe it's complicated. Maybe it's not good radio. I don't know. These are the things that in my spare time I sit and ponder about. But the thing is, so let's say I go buy a house today for $300,000 at 8%. Okay?
Yep.
And then next month, interest rates drop down to 5%, but the price goes up to $350.
Right.
Okay? If I had gotten it at $300 at 8%, so the price might be, the monthly payment might be the same.
Right.
So $300 at 8% might be the same as 5% at $350. As a buyer, I'm in the same boat, monthly payment wise, but the overall principal owed, I can always change the 8% if interest rates come back down. I can always change the 8% to a 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, wherever they go in the future.
Yeah.
But the principle's the principle. If I buy at 300, all I ever owe is 300. But if I buy at 350, now I owe 350 no matter what the interest rates do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
I feel like I just rambled and went down a rabbit hole. I'm sorry. This is what I think.
You can tell you're a realtor and you love what you do.
This is all I think about all day is Federal Reserve monetary policy, like that, and the downstream effects of that. I'm a little different from most realtors because I sit and read Fed policy stuff. Like that's my real obsession. Okay, we went way over time, so we're just gonna jump straight. I'm sorry. This turned into me rambling rather than my guest giving me her insights. I'm sorry.
Hope you're good.
We are gonna jump into the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin. Don't go nowhere.